pretty good. Wow, yay! Oh, two in a row. Welcome to Getting to Know You. We're going to be talking to Ted Kopp today, who is a member of the executive committee at large, and he is serving his second term. He also was playing cornhole, I can't remember that, Ted. Cornhole outside on this beautiful day, and that's very noisy, but we hope to do it on the patio. And then we found out that the landscaping was going on there. So for today, we are taking over the place where we were told not to sit, but it's nice and cool, and here we are in the living room with special permission.
We'll be careful.
So welcome, Ted, and we're delighted to have a chance to get to know you. And let me just say that I think that you're sort of well known because you're involved in a whole lot of activities, but one of the ones that I think maybe people don't know as much about, but I'd start with that, and that is how important you've been to the country store. Can you talk a little bit about how that works and what you do?
Well, first, thank you. I am the buyer, which means I don't have to think, I just have to go do. We're very fortunate. We've got ShopRite very, very close by, so it's an easier job than it sounds like. But I know that it's important to people. We take special orders for items that people really do need, and we go and get them and we sell them. And I was told that in the survey recently that the country store came out on top of things that are missed, so we're anxious to get it reopened.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, I also am a clerk there.
Yes, ma'am.
And so it's really wonderful to see what a multi-purpose place it is. One, we're lucky that the rest of the kitchen helps us with the fresh fruit.
They're very helpful.
And you have a list way beyond, I think, what anybody could imagine of the types of things that we have there. And then you do special orders. So I like to think that that experience helps you have some insight into residents' interests and needs when you're serving on the executive committee of the Residents Association.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, we have that special perspective on what happens at Stonebridge. Ted, one of the things that we do is the kind of thing that people do at the dining room table and say, well, where did you come from? And so we'd like to know a little bit about your background, and I'll just leave it at that. You can say where you came from.
Well, I'm very parochial. I'm what is known around here, not here, but in Princeton as a townie. I'm a third generation Princetonian. My father and grandfather were born in the same house in Princeton.
Wow.
So I haven't roamed far from home.
And so tell us a little bit about what you did there. I'm going to ask you first professionally, because I think that's really interesting.
Professionally, I was a contractor. I went into business with my father. At the time we were putting in infrastructure. It's hard to imagine now, but at the time that we went into business, there was no Riverside as we know it. There was really no township development. There were something like 500 people living in Princeton Township when I was in the high school. And effectively, we built it out. And now it's...
So, and if we were describing it to somebody who doesn't know Princeton, Riverside is the extension of Prospect Street, so it's between 27 and the lake.
And the lake.
Right. And then the other side of 27, where Dodds Lane is and so on, that was developing also at that time.
Yes, that was the old Ulick Farm. That's what is now known as Shady Brook.
Right. And that's to Little Brook School then.
Correct.
So the two pieces of what you go through going north out of Princeton, it was really all new development.
All new development, and some, but not nearly as much in the western end. We did university work over there.
Right. Well, there was another new thing that was happening in Princeton around that time, and I think you had told me once before that you were involved in the shopping center?
Yes, my father was an original investor in the shopping center, and once again, we built the infrastructure in the shopping center. And that was another area, that was farm from Nassau Street all the way to
Right.
Terhune Road at one time.
Yeah. We have an old map that shows Ewing Street being the main street and Harrison Street really not extended.
It terminated at Ewing Street. It
Yeah.
was none, believe it or not.
Right, and the shopping center is also sort of historic because it started out being a real shopping center with a department store.
It did.
And it was, what, Bamberger's from Newark?
It was Bamberger's from Newark, and it came to be Bamberger's, not came to be Bamberger's, but it came to be in Princeton because the heir to the Bamberger stores was living in Princeton at the time. And he was approached and said, wouldn't it be nice to have a store in town with your name on it? And he thought, well, that's a good idea. And so they became the anchor store, which was very, very important to the development of the shopping center at the time.
And to Princeton, I remember they had an escalator. I think it's the only place in
That's
Princeton
right.
that there was an
Hard to believe,
escalator,
they
right?
had an escalator.
Yeah. So, and now as you look at how the town has developed, it's, I think you can be pretty proud of it, as some changes that have been made, but it's vital.
They were vital. I mean, the university has developed so much over the last number of years that it was inevitable that the town was going to develop with it. It's an easy commute, if you could believe that any commute into New York is easy.
Yeah.
And the university is such a wonderful draw.
Yeah.
There's no question about
Right,
it.
right. But there's so many more businesses now. I think when you were doing your work was Sarnoff on Route 1 and maybe the university's Forrestal Center. But now, every other lot is taken up with some kind of an interesting office building.
Well, it's hard to believe that there were, the two major grocery stores are right on Nassau Street within a block of each other.
Right.
You'd be amazed at how many people walk to the store every day.
So, I know that you weren't only having a profession and working for money, you were also a very valued volunteer in Princeton those years. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
I followed in my grandfather's footsteps and joined the fire department, spent 35 years there, was chief of the Princeton department in the 1950s, and felt it was good community work and enjoyed it very much.
And so here you are at Stonebridge, involved in somewhat the same way that you were involved in Princeton. So yesterday, I guess it's okay to say that, we had the opening for the groundbreaking for the bocce court. Are you a bocce player too?
I'm a happy bocce player, and it's going to be wonderful to have a real court there, and there's a lot of community participation. Thank you to Stonebridge for doing this. It's a wonderful thing to have.
And I think that was a way that residents got together and made the case for it, and the executive committee of the Resident Association took it on as something that they would endorse. It was a nice example of how to get things done with the staff supporting you too.
Yes, we endorsed it, and we're big supporters of it, as we are with the cornhole, which was introduced here by Ruth Laus. And we have great participation. It's been more difficult with the heat this summer, but it'll work out very well.
Right. So you have now another 2 years on the executive committee.
That's correct.
Residents. Okay. Now, I know another thing is you have a garden in the community garden too.
I'd miss it if I didn't.
Right. We share some experiences from before.
Yes,
and
we do.
We wonder where the groundhog went, right? Not that we miss it or him or her, but.
He or she's got to be a lot thinner.
Right. So, well, I guess you're well known around here, and people should feel comfortable talking to you if they have something that they think should come before the resident council, or if they have questions and so on.
Well, I would certainly hope so. I'm certainly open to any anytime anybody has any questions, I will try to answer it, or at least steer them in the right direction to
Good.
somebody that will really know.
Okay, well, that's the spirit that's really great about this organization. So thank you again for listening, and we were talking to Ted Kopp, and I think we have now interviewed every member of the executive committee of the Residents Association, so you'll have to stay tuned and see what else we have on our agenda, because we do have one. Thank you from me, Ingrid Reed, I'm the host, from Sandy Hyatt, who is our arranger of places and my timekeeper, and of course Robin, who is filming this on her new iPad. Yay, Robin. And Jeff Tiener, who is our executive producer. So thank you for tuning in.